Welcome to Neural News Hub. I'm your global analyst, and today is March 21st, 2026. We're hearing a lot of talk about a war ending. President Trump says it's winding down, but at the same time, his generals are actually sending more Marines to the front. So what's really going on? Well, from an incredible strike on a remote island base to the Pentagon's massive bet on AI, it's clear the rules of war are being rewritten as we speak. So let's dive into what that actually means.
Yeah, you see, while all the official headlines are talking about de-escalation, the technology that's actually being deployed tells a completely different story. We just saw a missile strike that's never been seen before, and the invisible AI that stopped it. And believe me, this is fundamentally changing how conflicts are fought right now.
And really, this whole new chapter kicks off with one single dramatic event that just happened out in the Indian Ocean. It was an attack that, get this, failed. But even in its failure, it has sent absolute shockwaves through military commands all over the globe.
So here's what went down. On March 21st, Iran launched 2 ballistic missiles at the super strategic US and UK base on the island of Diego Garcia. Now, I want you to just look at this map for a second. We're talking about a distance of over 4,000 kilometers. That's huge. This wasn't just a random shot in the dark. It was a major statement. It was Iran showing the world it has a brand new, terrifyingly long-range capability.
Okay, so let's break down exactly what happened. 2 missiles were launched. The first one, it was a dud. It completely failed and just broke apart mid-flight. But the second one, well, that's where things get interesting. It was successfully shot down by a US warship, and that interception, that right there is where our story really begins. Because it's not that it was stopped, it's how it was stopped that changes everything.
You see, a missile did shoot it down, sure, but the real weapon here wasn't the physical interceptor. No, not at all. It was this invisible, AI-powered brain that was guiding the whole thing. And this is where warfare just entered a whole new dimension.
Which of course forces us to ask a really important question. How are these life-or-death military decisions actually being made now? Is it still a bunch of generals huddled around a physical map in a dusty room? Or is something way more advanced and way faster pulling the strings? Well, let me introduce you to the first piece of the puzzle, a company called Palantir. The Pentagon is betting billions on them. Why? Because they're building the data platform for the entire US military. You can think of it as a sort of Windows or operating system for modern war.
So their system, which is part of something called the Maven Smart System, is basically like a supercharged Google Maps, but for warfare. It is pulling in just unimaginable amounts of data. Trillions of data points from satellites, drones, communications, radar, you name it. And it fuses all of that chaos into one single, live, easy-to-understand view of the entire battlefield.
And here's where it gets really powerful. Once you have all that data in one place, the system can start identifying and tracking threats in real time. It's automatically flagging, hey, missile launcher over here, or watch out, tank column moving there. It literally takes this overwhelming sea of noise and turns it into a crystal clear prioritized list of targets.
But wait, it gets even smarter than that. Commanders can actually set up their own automated rules. Simple if-then statements, like, alert me instantly if any known missile launcher moves within, say, 30 minutes of one of our ships. So the AI isn't just a passive map anymore. It's actively hunting for patterns and flagging threats, sometimes before a human analyst could even begin to connect the dots.
Okay, so it's really important to understand that this is a two-part system. The analogy I like to use is a chess game. Palantir's system, Maven, that's the chessboard. It shows you exactly where every single piece is all at once in real time. Then another AI, something like Anthropic's Claude, acts as your grandmaster chess coach. It looks at the board and whispers in your ear, hey, if you make this move, there's an 87% chance you'll win. But, and this is the crucial part, the final decision to actually move that piece, that's still up to the human commander.
All right, so we've talked about the AI brain behind the scenes. Now, let's look at the physical arms, the actual hardware of this new era. And we're going to cover both the defensive stuff that stopped that missile and the offensive tech that's now spreading like wildfire across the globe.
So this is it, the RIM-161 Standard Missile 3, or SM-3. It's launched from a ship, and you can think of it as a giant, incredibly fast bullet. It doesn't explode, it just smashes into an incoming missile way up in space, completely obliterating it. And that interception of the Iranian missile, that was the very first time an SM-3 had ever been used in actual combat, a historic first.
But here's the thing you absolutely have to grasp.
This kind of AI-guided tech that makes a defensive system like the SM-3 so ridiculously effective, well, it's not just for defense anymore. Not by a long shot. The exact same principles are now being baked into offensive weapons, and that technology is going global, fast.
Let's talk about a number. $11 million. Now, in the grand scheme of defense spending, that sounds like pocket change, right? But this number, this specific deal, represents a massive strategic shift. It's the perfect example of how this advanced military tech is now being shared and developed all over the world.
So what is it? It's a new deal between an Israeli AI company called XTEND and an Indian firm Rayonix. And here's the key. They're not just selling drones to India. They're going to manufacture advanced AI-powered drones in India. This is a huge deal because it's about transferring the know-how, the software, the whole shebang. It's a critical step in India's Make in India vision for its own defense industry.
So let's just zoom out for a minute. That one drone deal, that one missile interception, these aren't isolated incidents. They're both symptoms of a much bigger global shift. What we're really witnessing here is the dawn of an entirely new era of warfare, and it's being defined from top to bottom by technology.
And that India-Israel deal, it's not just some random partnership. It fits perfectly into this massive, decades-long strategy India has called Defense Forces Vision 2047. I mean, the goal couldn't be clearer. By 2047, the 100th anniversary of its independence, India plans to transform itself from being one of the world's biggest buyers of military hardware into a world-class innovator and producer. It's a huge ambition.
And this brings us to the core concept, the big idea that changes everything. For the last few decades, the name of the game in warfare was information superiority. The thinking was, whoever has the most data wins. Well, that's over. The new goal is decision superiority. It's not about having the most data anymore. It's about using AI to make sense of that data and make smarter decisions faster than your opponent. It's a total paradigm shift.
Now, this massive technological arms race is definitely not going unnoticed. All the other major world powers are scrambling to figure out their response. I mean, just look at this proposal from China, where they're trying to establish principles for so-called lethal autonomous weapons. So even as countries are racing to build this stuff, they're also very publicly wrestling with the ethics and the rules of the road.
So, that official wind down of the war we heard about at the beginning, it might be coming. But the technology of warfare itself has been changed for good. The AI genie is well and truly out of the bottle. The question is no longer if AI will dominate the battlefield, it's what happens next. How will nations cope when it does? If you found this explainer useful, please do hit that like and subscribe button. We'll have more updates for you soon.